And as you see, we have the Formula Continental cars about ready to set sail from the false grid. John Bizignano is down and amongst them. Biz?
You know, Nicky Corello, he's on pole position. He's only there by a tenth of a second. But if you look at this beautiful car, this is a 01 model. It's 9 years old. Now, this is a fully adjustable race car. Aerodynamics are fully adjustable. Suspension, tires, everything. Those tires are spec, but they're tire pressures they work with an awful lot. What that allows you to do, he has over 50 starts in this car. That means that with that amount of experience, he and his mechanic can communicate very well, and if there's any problem whatsoever, they know right where to go to cure it. When you have a car with that much experience, and you in that car with just tons and tons of track time, it allows you to dial the car in. And around Road America, where you have these fast sweeping turns, there's nothing better than having a car that's 100% underneath you. Now the problem is that the first 6 cars in this line all qualified within a second of him. So he's going to have to rely an awful lot on the experience he has in that beautiful 81 chassis. Okay, Bart, Greg, here we go. Formula Continental, this is going to be great.
Oh, you're not kidding. We have been waiting for this one, to be sure. It is such a spectacular class. And interestingly, Nicky Coelho, originally was going to be, they were looking at, he's done a deal with Ralph Furman Race Cars and that Furman chassis. He's running it in FB. They were looking at doing it in Continental. First time he raced a car in Continental this year was the Sprints. He ended up qualifying second, but then did go on to win it. Doesn't have a lot of laps in either car this season, but they decided that, we're not going to, we've got the car we know we can do well with here. We'll sort that Furman chassis over the winter. Tell us a little bit about Continental.
Oh, Continental, open wheels, different tire packages, slick tires, 2-liter Ford, I hate to say Pinto because it's really about a $16,000 motor new, so more than the Pinto ever was, and Z-Tech powered. So you do have 2 different motor options.
4 gold medals in this category for Nicky Coelho. But, Brian Tomasi on the outside of that front row had the silver here last year. In 2004, won a gold medal. He certainly knows this track and certainly knows this class and is capable of some very, very fast runs. Unfortunately, last year had a good qualifying effort, ended up with a DNF, and that'll be a problem for him. And then you've got Revere Geist, who out of Madison, Wisconsin, running the Waypoint Health Innovations car for Arms Up that Biz was talking about. That's the guy who out-qualified Coelho for pole at the Sprints this year. Revere is somebody to be revered here. I mean, this is going to be something to see.
I knew you couldn't pass up that opportunity.
I couldn't. I'll give you that.
Oh, certainly. He's going to be right there. He's starting right behind him, and this is going to be an exciting race. I hope, as you remember last year, they had a big incident in the kink in the opening laps. So hopefully everyone gets through there safe because I'd hate to see this thing under yellow.
Absolutely. It's such a spectacular class. Great racing. Revere, by the way, from pole at the Sprints, led early but then had a mechanical and ended up with a DNF. So I'm sure there's some redemption he'd be looking at this stage. And let's see. We continue on. John LaRue. Now, John had a pretty good hit during qualifying back in the kink, so I'm going to see and make sure that car is there. It looks like it might be. We'll have to take a look. Yep, he's there. And so that's out of Muncie, Indiana. He runs in the Great Lakes Division. He drives the CP Hyperco Citation. Great to see that. And he had the silver here in the Runoffs in 1997. So it's been a while since he's medaled, but he certainly is capable. The number 5 starter is 41, Brian Bellardi out of Grafton, Wisconsin. Runs out of the Southeastern Division, oddly enough, though, and he's third there. But he did have some wins and there are some podiums in that category. The Liberty Motorsports Hoosier Van Diemen. Running 6, Bobby Caldwell, number 80 out of Terre Haute, Indiana. The champion in the Southwestern, the Great Lakes Division with 2 wins is SMC Gribbons Van Diemen. Starting 7th, the 00, Pat McGinnis from St. Louis, Missouri. Second in the Midwestern Division in the Euro Tricks Payroll Plus and Arms Up Van Diemen. The Arms Up is the team, Arms Up Motorsports, which is based right here in the Plymouth, Elkhart Lake area. Then, of course, running in the 8th spot, starting in the 8th spot, number 9, J.R. Smart out of Fitchburg, Wisconsin. 9th in the Central Division in the Smart Motors Pabst Racing Van Diemen. Starting in the 9th spot, number 15, Tony Smith out of Mayville, Wisconsin. Runs out of Sendiv in the Mayville Garden and Lawn Lime Van Diemen. Starting in the 10th spot, the 05, Peter LeSueur out of St. Charles, Illinois. Runs out of Central Division. He was 4th here in 2008 in the OSQ Hoosier Tired Van Diemen.
Interesting, though, we were talking about Nicky Coelho. The Ralph Furman car he was going to be running was actually held up in customs.
Was that what that was?
Evidently,
okay.
I think they even tried calling the President of the United States to get the thing through. But you really don't want to bring out a new package. You need to do some testing and some miles first. But certainly looks like a beautiful car.
I think so, and he runs the Ralph Furman chassis in the Formula B category, and they've been really focusing on that program a little bit this year, which ran earlier in the event, and he had an interesting race there as well. But we're about to find out for real. The the green flag in the hand, and it is waving. We are green. Formula Continental underway, and right away, Coelho does ease forward a little bit, and Revere Grice right behind him. Tucks in. Now Revere uses that toe, gets down to the inside. Revere is going to lead down into turn one. Coelho almost got pipped for second, but is able to hold on. Couple, 2 abreast, 3 abreast in spots. Everybody cleaning through. But as you pointed out, Bart, Revere Grice, he wants this bad, especially after the pole and looking so strong at the sprints earlier this year and then having that mechanical.
Boy, I know he's got to be excited. He's just got to control himself now, get his head down, and run clean, consistent laps. But what a great start.
Boy, he read that to perfection. And Brian Tomasi now trying to have a go at Nicky Coelho as they head down into 5. They are side by side as they get down and in there. And he is through. Nice move there. Coelho slips back into the 3rd spot right now with John LaRue up into 4th, but he's feeling some heat as well from Bilardi. So nobody's settling in. They're going after it right now.
They certainly are, and with only 13 laps, the time is of the essence. So they're definitely sprint racing, and gloves are off, and they're racing.
There you go. There is LaRue. There is Tomasi. And right behind him, I think that is the 80 of Bobby Caldwell. So somebody well wide loops it. Stay out, stay out.
Oh, wow.
That worked out.
Tony Smith did a great job keeping his eyes up, just avoiding catastrophe there. Hopefully he can get it refired and going.
Absolutely. But, fortuitous that it ended up facing the right way and hooked right there and stayed put on the edge. Now, through the kink. This is where they had that huge shunt last year, and so far so good. Always a little bit of a sigh of relief.
Well, the big open wheels out there, too. It's so easy to hook wheels, and, obviously then you can start getting airborne, and really bad stuff happens. So I'm glad they made it through there safe, and this looks like it's going to shape up to be a great race.
Yeah, it certainly does, and for everybody else, I mean, Coelho sometimes when he wins these, it's just dominant. And at this stage of the game, the fact that Revere was able to get by him and Bilardi as well, Tomasi as well, means that if Coelho's going to do it again, he's really going to have to earn it. He's certainly capable of that, there's no question. But right now, Revere looks pretty strong, and Tomasi coming right up behind him. Then Coelho comes by. The margin between Grice and Tomasi officially 0.8 of a second, and then another second or so back to Coelho. So Revere and Tomasi right now throwing down, and Revere turned a 2:16.2 on the opening lap from a rolling start.
Boy, almost a second quicker than second place Tomasi. So he really is lighting up the candle here.
Down through 3, onto that long run, down the back stretch through the parade sweep, under the Sargento Bridge. Good-looking field of cars. You got to love what you're seeing out here right now.
And then once again, I mean, their tires are still coming up the temperature, coming up the pressure. You're going to actually see the setup come back to a lot of these guys. But that is an amazing 2:16.2 on an opening lap. I'm very impressed.
Absolutely. And to do it, obviously, he's running that very low drag configuration with that single element on the back of the wing down low. So having the confidence to just throw that car around at those speeds in the opening lap on cold tires and everything we've talked about before, but in a trimmed out aero package, that's pretty impressive. Here comes the 17 of LaRue, really starting to hound Nicky Coelho at this stage, putting some pressure on him. They work through, then it's Bilardi.
Yeah, I wonder if Coelho's got a little problem or something. Usually he jumps out and stays right up there. He might be having a little issue early. I don't know.
Could it be a scenario of what we were talking about with the cold weather, tire pressures and stuff? He's got it set up that it's just going to take a little bit longer for that to come in?
That certainly could be the case. He definitely likes driving a loose tail end of the car. I've watched him in qualifying, and he's scared me a few times going around, but certainly was able to qualify.
Yeah, good lap, obviously. Biz talked about it, a 10th separating he and Tomasi, Grice in 3rd, but nothing really covering that whole front group, 5 or 6 cars, well within a second. And here we go up the hill. There goes Grice. There goes Tomasi. Here comes Coelho. with LaRue right behind him. A 2:13.2 for Greist, a 2:13.3 for Tomasi, a 2:14.3 for Coelho, and a 2:14.4 for LaRue. Belardi at a 2:14.7. So pretty close quarters right there. But right now, Greist and Tomasi just have that second in hand over Coelho and LaRue.
And it is a long race. We'll have to see if maybe they went with a softer tire. It is the runoffs, and you're going to gamble. And maybe by the end of the race, they could start, looks like McGinnis and...
I think that's Caldwell.
Caldwell, yeah.
This is the battle for 6th, and McGinnis got through 3 very strongly, got right up on the back of Caldwell. And we'll see whether he's just laying back a little bit or if he is actually going to make the pop and try and get that pass done. He's going to swing to the outside because,
oh, wow.
Now if he gets it down to the apex, man, what a head of speed he was able to carry, and it's gone around. That was a very impressive pass by McGinnis.
Great move. Very impressive. And I did watch him in qualifying, too. He's, again, got a low downforce setup on the car, so which might have enabled him to actually get that straightaway speed he needed.
Here we go. There they are. There's McGinnis now in front of Caldwell. And he's got a low downforce setup that upper element may be half as high as it is on the other cars that are in front of him with the higher downforce. But behind him, Caldwell's got that same setup as Greist. There is one little plane way down low at the back.
Oh, to be young again and have quick hands and reflexes like that.
And other attachments as well that allow you to be willing to do that. Pretty impressive what these guys are doing here on this day as they whistle down through the kink, heading into Canada corner once again. There is LaRue with Belardi, and Belardi is starting to close up a little bit. He's put together a great second half of this lap and has reeled LaRue in. Very close quarters up through the Billy Mitchell turn and now toward 14.
Oh, this should be a great battle. Belardi's super smooth, consistent driver. He's been on the podium a couple times at the runoffs and certainly looks like he's putting himself in position to maybe do it again.
And LaRue driving the Citation, the only one in the field here today, and it is a very unique-looking chassis compared to all of these Van Diemens. Here we go. Belardi gets the run. Now moves to the inside. Let's see if he can hold it, though. LaRue had to give way. Was thinking about easing over, and Belardi was just far enough along. And look at that. Belardi exits middle of the track to not let LaRue cut back down and underneath him. Pretty savvy, but it slowed them both up, and guess who's right behind him? McGinnis.
He's a scrapper. He's definitely going to stay in the fight, and he's a good driver. He's really gotten a couple years under his belt now, and really has had some good results this year.
Well, very impressive. I mean, he is just driving the fast lines, letting those guys in front duke and battle and juke and jive, slow themselves down, and he comes in, gives LaRue just a little feint, shows that nose in the mirrors, like, all right, you got somebody here. And now LaRue, see what happens. Well, again, just gives that little bob and weave, trying to get in the mirrors, show that flashy yellow, maybe distract a little bit. See if he can pull something off here, Bart, down into turn 8.
Boy, yeah, and Caldwell's all over him. I wonder if LaRue's got a problem or if he's just fading a little bit, because Bobby certainly is giving him all he can handle.
There they go, out of 8. LaRue fends him off at this stage. Oh, but LaRue floats a little wide, and McGinnis shows the nose down underneath. Caldwell shows the nose down underneath and does not quite get it done. But, boy, if he'd been able to pull that off, that would have been spectacular.
That would have been a heck of a pass. You don't see a lot of passes successfully made there.
No. Oftentimes it comes with a little bit of a bump and go, and somebody pays the price. That time they both respected it. Now, Caldwell, though, going to try him on the brakes, down into Canada corner. He gets through, but it's all about exit here. Here comes LaRue, trying to get down to the inside as they head up.
Smart.
He's there, but now what happens? Shuts the door through the Billy Mitchell turn. Nice piece of driving by LaRue, and decisively closed the door to make that one happen. And look what's unfolding up front. Revere Greist has a very determined Brian Tomasi on his 6. Greist a 2:12.4, Tomasi a 2:12 flat.
This battle is far from over, and this is exactly what Greist and the Arms Up boys do not want to see. Tomasi's won before. He's taken gold, and he's certainly in a good position right now.
Game on. And you can see Tomasi is running more downforce at the back of that car. That usually would mean he's got maybe a little bit more on the front as well for the balance. And it may be just a simple thing in this cold air that little bit more downforce is giving him extra grip here.
What I believe, too, you've got fuel injection versus carbureted motors. Actually, intakes are on the same side, so they're both fuel injected.
So up the hill we go one more time into turn 6. Greist with Tomasi in tow. They have opened up now almost a 5-second margin back to Nicky Coelho. That's unheard of for Nicky.
Yeah, I don't think he's having the greatest day today. But,
no, something's off, yeah, for sure. But
certainly scrapping it out, though, and pushing.
Yeah, not to take anything away from what these guys are doing. These are some brilliant laps. I mean, that 2:12.0 that Tomasi ran was 0.4 of a second faster than Coelho's pole.
That's amazing. Obviously, the track's rubbering in, and weather conditions are good. The sun is out, so we're getting a little bit of track temp, but yet the ambient temperature is definitely staying chilly.
Staying chilly, and the engines love that. That cold air, dense oxygen content in colder air, more power, and keeps the engine cool on top of it, runs a little bit better. Everything working right now, and that's where I'm almost wondering whether Tomasi, with that little bit more downforce, is able to, he's just got a little better heat, a little bit better grip in those tires or whatever. Be interesting to see near the end of this, because what I'm not seeing from Revere Greist is he's not panicking, feeling the pressure so much that he's throwing the car around, getting sideways, overheating those tires from abusing them. That looks like he's still pretty well planted and keeping his head about him.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of laps here in testing, and really, really a smooth driver. So I think he can keep the tires under him the entire race, unless they went with a gamble on a little bit softer one. But temperature conditions, I think, probably could handle it.
And as I say that, Greist a little sideways through one.
You think he's listening to us?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like he's busy or anything. He's got the iPhone in his lap right now, just glancing down. How am I doing? What are they saying? All right, here we go. That long run once again to the range sweep, heading down into turn 5. Again, that fall away braking zone, and you can see that Revere is well aware that Mr. Tomasi is right there. Stays over to the left as long as he can until he gets to the turn. But we talked earlier in the weekend about some of the challenges of this track, and in these cars, you can see those aren't great big fat slicks. So they have mechanical grip, but it's not tons, and so they are cars that you tend to slip and slide in just a little bit, and you have to carry the momentum because they've got engines and weight. Horsepower to weight's not bad, but it's not massive horsepower. So, again, you've got to just drive these cars, but you're doing it constantly into downhill braking zones from high speed or flat-out kinks or long, never-ending carousels. This track presents immense challenges.
Well, and it's a real balancing act, too. You would like a little bit wider tire for more grip, but yet they're way out in the air, so you're getting a lot of rolling resistance there. So the engineers keep telling them to narrow up the tire. The drivers keep saying, I'd like a little bit wider tire. And you end up with this result, which is really, really fun cars. Very agile, very nimble cars.
Yeah, we even saw in Formula Ford for a couple of years they were running front tires on the rear, trying to get those little tires in the back and just get that rolling resistance down even further. Kind of interesting what they will try here in SCCA competition to try and get that little bit of an advantage. Right now, it is Revere Greist hanging on over a very persistent Brian Tomasi with Nicky Coelho sitting in third, Bilardi fourth, and LaRue rounds out the top 5. We're going to step away for just a minute here from this battle to the gold in Formula Continental at SCCA's National Championship Runoffs, presented by Subway here on SpeedcastTV.com.
The 2010 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Subway, is brought to you by Mazda, Black Magic Car Care Products, and Gumout.
Forget the rock. Let's roll. Follow your inner driver to the all-new 2011 Mazda 2. It's Zoom Zoom. Concentrated.
Skid, where you been?
Just got back from an SCCA event.
Really?
Yeah, SCCA has more than 2,000 events every year.
Serious?
Go to SCCA.com and find people in your area that drive fast and get their hands dirty. And you don't have to be a supercar to compete.
So I go to SCCA.com, sign up, and I can start competing?
It's that easy.
We are back at Road America. The action continuing. Oh, somebody had a crawl down the front straight. It's the number 7 of Jim Victor, the Morgan Stanley Smith Barney Van Diemen. There he is. And I think right now he's just hoping he can get up by that pit out area and can make that turn, and they can tuck him back into that area here. And you can see the workers over there signaling, come on in. We got a spot for you. Meanwhile, they're going to get him off track, which is great, before this battle shows up as they head down and through Canada Corner.
It's like
Grice to
JR's
Tomasi. Yeah, this is J.R. Smart, isn't it?
Smart and McGinnis, yeah. They've got a good battle going on, too. Boy, they're all over the track. Bilardi and LeSueur, I believe.
LaRue, yeah.
LaRue.
Yeah, Bilardi and LaRue. Where is Caldwell in this mix? That would be the other question, because he was in the 4th spot, so we'll have to see what happens there. Grice and Tomasi have just come by. Here comes Nicky Coelho. Interesting to see what we got for times here right now. Grice up in the ante, turned to 2:12.2 to Tomasi's 2:12.6. Coelho at a 2:13.1. And here comes Bilardi. Or is that? No, that's Caldwell, isn't it? Yep,
Again,
that's Caldwell.
Caldwell, okay,
with
excellent.
LaRue right behind him. Okay. And that right now is the battle for 5th at this stage. And these guys have been at it for a while. Boy, LaRue really got a run out of 1. And just did not quite get close enough to be able to do anything with Caldwell down into 3. Now that long, long run here, all the way down through the Moraine sweep, down into turn 5.
But if we can step back to their lap times for a second, it is absolutely unheard of to have race times quicker than your qualifying times, unless you've got a wet qualifying or something like that. But Nicky Coelho went out there, set a new Runoffs qualifying track record, and now we've got 2 guys lapping in under that time.
That is just spectacular. And obviously, that means that all the conditions are right. The track rubbering in, it's dry, it's cool, so the engines are making power. The aero is very effective. I mean, everything coming into play right now. And these guys are getting everything out of these cars. I didn't catch the number of that car that was pulled over, Bart, did you?
I possibly could be Jody Seidler. I saw a little orange on it, and I know he's got some fluorescent orange on his car. I certainly hope not, but it was someone.
Yeah, and somebody had, that happens, obviously. You got to pull it over. And meanwhile, here we go, Caldwell with LaRue. And Caldwell opens it up just a little bit. I mean, they were absolutely under the same blanket heading down into turn 5, and then from 5 on, Caldwell, that car seems to be working pretty smartly. There is Bilardi. Then here comes Caldwell and LaRue down into Canada Corner.
And I always divide the track between 5 and 14. Those seem to be the handling sections, and then 14 back to 5 obviously is a lot of straightaway stuff. And must be that Caldwell's car is working well. Surprising with that low downforce. I talked to his dad this week and said, maybe he'd put that wing up a little bit, and he said, nah, he'll catch it.
That's good confidence from the folks. If they're feeling that good about it, there's a reason for it, because you know how folks are with kids. It's like, no, crank in the arrow.
Oh, no, his dad reassured me that he never really planned on having him anyways. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, okay, so.
No, I'm kidding.
I can always have more kids. All right. Well, this battle continues to be impressive. Revere Grice up front with Tomasi right there. That time, identical laps, folks, to the thousands. Last time by, 2 minutes, 12.468 seconds for Grice and Tomasi. So,
it's amazing
really
someone
tight.
brings an A game, but
Yeah.
to have 2 people bringing a spot-on A game, this is absolutely
Superb.
great racing.
Well, we've been waiting for this one. We've been talking about it. Of course, we all, figured that it was going to be Coelho that was going to be right smack dab in the mix. And these guys are turning those 2:12.4s, 2:12.2s. Tomasi, the fast lap at 2:12 flat, and Coelho's best at 2:13.1. So up front, Grice and Tomasi, you're right, the A game has been brought. There's a look at Coelho, and he's third, and it's a comfortable one at this point. I mean, he's 7 seconds adrift of Tomasi, but he's a good 5 seconds clear of Bilardi.
And looking at the air intake on Coelho's, he must be running the 2-liter Pinto motor, Ford Ford 2-liter, as I'd rather call it. But maybe the Z-Techs have a little bit on them.
That might be. It might just be the way they're breathing or something here with these cool temperatures.
Could be a fuel injection versus carburation, too. Maybe the carburetor's just a smidge off for these temperature and weather conditions. All three of them elite engines. So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that was, you thought in your race that there may be a little problem with the carburetor, and I mean, that can have a big effect on things, can't it?
Well, that's probably why they evolved to fuel injection, because you can't go out there and adjust it. And the great thing, fuel injection is constantly taking readings, adjusting.
This battle continues. It is a good one. 4-5, Caldwell, that yellow number 80, the red 17 of LaRue. That's the Citation of LaRue. And that Van Diemen RF 2000 of Caldwell. Boy, LaRue, though, getting a run this time, tucked in. But Caldwell, again, very smart, stays to the inside, says if you're going to get me, you're going to have to do it around the outside. And now we'll see LaRue. Well, he had it that time. And then he's got that little bit more wing, that higher element on the back, maybe allows him to get in just a little bit deeper on the brakes.
And this is really interesting, too. Some cars are really good at leading. Oh!
Battle for the lead. Greist on the inside. Look at Tomasi sweeps the outside, and Greist let him go.
Well,
wow.
He certainly didn't give him a lot of room, but
no.
Very fair and very, very tough battling.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy pass, to be sure, but, I mean, Greist, and it was a smart move by Greist, what I meant when I said that, because if he'd forced that issue, those open wheels touching, it could have been very, very nasty, to be sure, as we now have about 3.5 laps left to go in this one. So the question now is, Revere, does he have something to be able to get back in after? A very impressive Brian Tomasi in this one, just spectacular stuff. But one thing that, to talk about here is, we talk about the aerodynamics in terms of the grip of the turn and obviously what that does to your straight line speed. But downforce on a car is also a huge element in braking.
Oh, you're absolutely correct there. It's a big element. Oh, and we got another move. Wow. Every time I try to make a point, they keep getting more and more exciting.
Well, that's okay. We're loving the racing, to be sure. And Revere showed the nose, got up alongside, but once again, just didn't feel quite close enough to be able to execute it cleanly. And now down through 14 in the long run up the straight, so you might have a little time here.
Well, hopefully. And the point I was making earlier, about 3 points ago, was some cars are really good at leading and some aren't so good at following. So it'll be interesting to see with the low downforce if maybe you take a little air off of that wing and all of a sudden we saw Caldwell sliding out when he was in second.
That's a very good point, too. The wash off of the other car has its pluses and its minuses, doesn't it? Right now, Bilardi, let's see here, Tomasi, now that lap was a 2:13.2, Greist a 2:14.1, but I think that was because they were spending a lot of time side by side and duking it out and obviously protecting, running inside lines. That's a little slower, but that's what happens when you get into a good battle. Coelho ran a 2:13.4 and took a little bit back, about 0.8 off of Greist at this stage, but he's still the better part of 8 seconds behind this battle for the gold.
Boy, and it just keeps getting tighter and tighter. This is just going to be a nail-biter all the way to the end.
And it does look like Greist has a little bit of top end, and what allowed maybe Tomasi to get by was he got into that draft that car was putting up and got enough on him to be able to get by. But down into 1, Greist closes it up. Same thing into 5, and we'll see what happens. He got alongside going into Canada Corner, so that low downforce definitely giving him a little bit of top end. But the problem is if you get out of the turn a little bit slower, you may have top end, but if you lose that chunk coming out of a turn because you're not carrying the speed through the corner, correct? Then you got the problem, even if you're faster at the end of the straight, you may not catch the guy.
And as we saw in the carousel there, he just pulls out a little bit of a gap. I think Tomasi might be running a little bit more downforce because you could see Greist on the high-speed stuff sliding around a little bit more.
Yep.
Pretty exciting ride.
Oh, man, no kidding here.
But
here
the long straightaways.
Yep, and he's closing up once again. See if he times it this time. Nope. And you know what? He was there. He was right up underneath, and then suddenly you saw Tomasi get that little bit of car length under braking. So that may be that downforce package. Boy, this is good stuff. When they come by this time, we should have 2 laps remaining in this run to the championships in Formula Continental. And Greist there, a little dancy, and that cost him a couple of lengths.
but then you'll see at the end of the straightaway he closes that back up. So really an interesting battle between the two. As I say that, he doesn't close it up. But, oh, no, here he is.
Here
Okay.
he comes, yeah.
But then watch him exiting one. He gets a little bit wide. Just a little lack of downforce there. And this is a fast corner in these cars.
Yep.
Probably about 100 to 105 miles an hour through there.
That gives you an idea of the speed that they're carrying. Down into 3. Tomasi feeding the throttle. Greist right there, the official margin this time at the line. This time they both ran mid-212s, and Coelho at 2:13.7, and that margin now back up to almost 10 seconds. But Coelho's got 7/10 in hand over Belardi.
Big move, nice.
Wow. Greist, man, I'm telling you, that one, he came from Ripon. That's a town away from here a little bit, folks. To make that pass, absolutely superb move. Boy, this one's far from over. This is great.
And he's well coached. He might have sat back there, cooled down his tires a little bit, and now is really getting a run. But they are so close.
Exit of 8. Heading into that carousel. Such a key corner to get through here. Greist looks good. Tomasi. Now, here we go. Through the kink.
And it's rare to find such evenly matched cars.
Yeah.
Real interesting. A little bit of downforce difference between the two. But obviously in the draft you can pull up. So it might be something like the V's where he might not want to be leading going into the last corner.
Boy, Greist turn in right there. I don't know whether he just dropped that rear left tire onto the edge just a little bit, because it really, the car just darted when it made the turn, and Tomasi suddenly was able to close right back up onto the back. This will be interesting. Watch the run up the hill. And this is where Tomasi, when he made his pass the last time, he was close enough to benefit from the draft and then use maybe that little bit more aero to go deeper into one and make it work. He is there. He is close. You see Greist drawing away, but there, Tomasi gets the full benefit, comes up to the inside. They are side by side heading down into turn 1. This is a huge battle because we are on our final lap, and it is Tomasi able to get through. Greist tried to stay tight and could not make it work and get around the outside. Tomasi leads, but we've got this next long stretch of racetrack, and we know Greist very quick in a straight line.
And this is where he's passed him twice now. So
with brave passes.
Oh, great moves. And can you imagine the emotion in the cockpit right now? Last lap in the national championships, 2 basically identical cars. Their setup is awesome.
Tomasi this time hangs on into 5. So the next opportunity, if Greist is close enough, might be turn 8. He can get the run through there. But Tomasi looks very strong through 6. Now up into that fall away right-hand sweeper. Greist carrying good speed, but Tomasi just enough. Into 8. It is still Tomasi. Greist. Now he's got to stay close through the carousel, through the kink, to have that shot heading down into Canada corner to see if that one works.
Looks like he's got a little bit of a push there. It's kind of going wide. You can see a little bit more steering input.
And we're getting a report from the corner net that we may have a yellow at Canada corner. And if that's the case, you can't pass any yellow anyway, so we'll see what happens. But Greist giving it everything. And there is also the shot, we've seen it happen already today, that you could be close enough out of 14 and draft and be able to make the move. Here we go, making the turn. And last time, up through 12. There's the reason for the yellow. The car is pulled off over there. Now through the Billy Mitchell turn, 13. Here we go, last time through turn 14. Get through here clean. Tomasi, boy, did he get out of there with a huge head of steam. And Brian Tomasi has enough in hand. This one should be his. Up the hill, Brian Tomasi to go along with his gold in 2004. Tomasi wins in the Alligator Board Hoosier and Nova Van Diemen RF08, and he is absolutely elated, and it was a brilliant drive. He should be happy. Revere Greist brings home the silver medal. We're waiting for Nicky Coelho to officially cross the line. He does, and Belardi closed up noticeably on Coelho here in the last couple of laps. does Coelho have a problem with that rear wing? He did.
Oh, wow.
The whole upper element in the left side plane of that wing came off the car part. Meanwhile, across the line, it was LaRue in 5th behind Velarde, then Caldwell, and J.R. Smart in those last couple of laps leapt all the way up into 7th place. So a great drive by J.R. getting around McGinnis. But, wow, that may have been what Nicky was battling. If that was loose early, that could have been the issue.
It could have adjusted itself into a flat plane, and he definitely didn't have the downforce he needed.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear when Biz talks to Coelho whether he was feeling that problem much earlier in the go. But there is Brian Tomasi out of Elgin, Illinois, the Chicago region, Central Division, and this is his home track. There's nothing more special than winning one at home.
Oh, so happy for him and his family. He brings his wife, children. His father's always there helping him. I mean, just the nicest people, and really, really happy for him.
And a brilliant drive. Here are the unofficial results. Tomasi over Revere Grice, Nicky Coelho. And it wasn't that Velarde caught Coelho. It was that Nicky fell into Velarde's reaches. And look at that margin, 3/10 at the end. When Nicky started that last couple of laps, he had about 10 seconds over Velarde. Huge development there. John LaRue right there in 5th. Caldwell, J.R. Smart, Pat McGinnis, Tony Smith, and John Norton complete your top 10. And Tomasi, Grice, and Coelho will be wearing some hardware around their neck. In terms of medals.
Well-earned hardware, too.
Oh, man, what a great race up front, to be sure. Very much a cat and mouse game, and that's what makes it so intriguing.
And I haven't seen a race all weekend that's been that close and that well driven. I mean, there's been great drives all throughout the week, but neither of those guys put a wheel wrong,
yep.
And neither of them cracked under pressure either. They just drove the wheels off of their cars, and unfortunately or fortunately, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. But
yep.
Both of them drove like champions today.
Well, and it's a matter of, you said it, being mistake-free. When you're under immense pressure like that, to have the ability, the discipline to just steel yourself and not make the mistakes, continue hitting your marks, doing it right. And certainly Brian Tomasi, an absolutely brilliant drive as he is able to bring it home. Again, in the Central Division, he finished second. He had 2 wins, but 6 podiums total. But, boy, I'll tell you, this is a very special moment. Revere Grice, just another tremendous drive. He had the pole at the sprints and then had the mechanical problem. And this one, he was in it right to the very end. That is special indeed. And, of course, Nicky Coelho is going to earn another medal, and he's going to be coming around. And, again, that car, the wing problem on the back of that car will be interesting to hear what's unfolding. But 2 of our medalists have made their way into the Mobil 1 winners interview, and as soon as we get the official word, we'll send it down to John Bizignano, who is going to be making the call down there for us.
You got to love a racer. You see Revere Grice hop out, and he's
yep.
checking out his tires right away.
Yep.
They're always thinking, all right, next time, how can we go faster?
It's almost like watching a test pilot get out of that plane and everything, and you walk around and you give every surface a look at and the like. It is spectacular. But right now, our winner, our gold medalist, his second one ever, is standing by with John Bizignano.
Well, congratulations, Brian. What a great drive. My gosh. Tell us about that pass for the lead.
Well, Revere and I were going back and forth, and I wasn't sure. I couldn't get communication with my crew, so I didn't know how many laps there were left. And I thought he was just setting me up for the last lap, but then when I saw there was one more lap to go, I had to run on him down the straightaway. And I just took it from him. I figured there's no point in waiting, so I went.
In the first half of the race, it almost looked like you were just behind him, settling in, keeping your tires cool and managed well. Was that what you were thinking, or were you going just as fast as you could? Now, let me tell you, your fastest lap was 0.4 of a second under the pole position, so you had to be giving it everything you could.
Yeah, I was going hard. I mean, I was hoping his tires would start to go off because he's running the low wings, but, it took a while, and then I started making some good corners, and I started closing the gap, and it was great. So, I just have to thank my wife, Alligator Board, my dad, all my sponsors. Is just great. Hoosier Tire, excellent.
Let me ask you, you do have the higher downforce setup, and obviously you believe that was the way to go.
Yeah, Nicky Coelho and I both kind of run similar packages. I mean, we feel that, you got to take care of your tires. You got to make them last more than, just a few qualifying laps, and that's what we did. It was great.
Congratulations on a great gold medal. Bonnie, come on in here and give him the gold. Walking back to this beautiful sort of John Wyer Gulf blue and orange color, I have to ask. Hey, Revere, buddy. What a heck of a run, buddy.
It was a good race.
Now, the first thing you did, you got out and you pushed on the top of this tire.
It's flat.
It's flat,
Yeah, I
okay.
don't know if it's flat, but it has very low pressure in it.
Yeah.
So,
Right, and
that was what did me in at the end.
All right.
I think Brian drove a great race. All my hats off to him, literally, hat off to him. He did a great job, and I think we were pretty evenly matched.
very, I mean, you were both underneath qualifying times, well underneath qualifying times.
I think at the very end, what did me in was the left front tire, but it was a good race. Glad to hang on for second. It's one step up from last year, so I'm pleased.
Quite a difference in setups between the two of you.
Yeah.
He was with the high downforce, you're with the very small low downforce.
That's right, yeah, and we've worked on that, and it's worked pretty well for us, and I think it would have kept working for us if
So down the long straightaways, you were better?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I would assume so. I mean, that's the advantage, because I'm giving up something in braking and in the corners, the medium speed corners in particular.
It's very unfortunate that tire's flat, but if it would have happened 2 laps earlier, you wouldn't be on the podium at all.
Good way to look at it, and it's part of racing. It's why we do it. The uncertainty is what's marvelous.
Hey, congratulations on that silver.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Well, a gentleman who was in third, our pole position man, Nicky Corello. Excuse me, sorry. Nicky, my gosh, everyone was saying up in the booth, was there a problem with your car from the start? You just never got up to the speed that qualifying gave you.
Yeah, I think one of those flaps or whatever, the end plate, whatever came off first, was opening up or something, because I was losing RPM coming up the straightaway. The lights would come on and they'd fall back down. So something was really making a lot of drag back there. Once the wing fell off, I was going good down the straightaway, but didn't handle very good in the corners. So.
Now, let's just show everybody what we're talking about back here. The wing end plate, of course, is missing. Did you have contact with that?
No contact. I also had a wing on top, too. That's gone. But it must have just loosened up and fallen off. Something failed.
And when that ink plate falls off, of course, that allows all the air to dump off, and the upper wing is gone. Now, I've seen that happen before, and what normally happens when the wing goes away is the car switches ends very quickly. Any feeling of that?
Yeah, it happened around the exit of 1, and it definitely kicked out on me, but the curbs actually kind of caught me and held me straight.
Nicky, congratulations on a very brave drive and a bronze medal. I'll tell you, it's very lucky that you are on the podium with this kind of condition in the car. You were right, guys. He certainly had a problem on the car. I've never seen a wing come off this badly and change the aerodynamics, totally upsetting the car, and still be able to get a podium finish. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That absolutely was a tremendous achievement to be able to do that. Now knowing what we know with that issue he had on the car from the absolute almost drop of the race, having that end plate folding up. That's going to wrap things up here for Formula Continental in this 47th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs, presented by Subway here at Road America.
The 2010 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Subway, is brought to you by Mazda, Black Magic Car Care Products, and Gumout.
Forget the rock. Let's roll. Follow your inner driver to the all-new 2011 Mazda 2. It's Zoom Zoom. Concentrated.
Kid, where you been?
Just got back from an SCCA event.
Really?
Yeah, SCCA has more than 2,000 events every year.
Serious?
Go to SCCA.com and find people in your area that drive fast and get their hands dirty. And you don't have to be a supercar to compete.
So I go to SCCA.com, sign up, and I can start competing?
It's that easy.